How do I say this for day 22, the summary of the stream? Now in the last part, I've read through the solutions implemented in this tutorial 24-part series making a 2D platformer, and also to compare with the getting started tutorial 2D from official documentation, your first 2D game. I actually went through deeper through the game to figure out how these things work, like moving along path when there is actually no movement, but actually to understand better how this works, the path 2D and the path follow 2D as a child of path 2D. I've added here actually the Godot's icon, and found out how it works, as that construct is used to spawn the mobs. I also made the gameplay area larger, so the actually the icon hints at the right place where the mobs will be spawned and sent from. To compare it with this 2D platformer, it's kind of a similar implementation of a cannon and a bomb, and so the cannon will be a spawner for a bomb, and the bomb follows a path through the level. In the example, like going this way, or traveling through the level following a path. So here with this icon added to the spawn location, the mobs in the game also appear like being launched from the icon. I didn't do any I didn't implement any new behavior. I've just at specific places printed out and looked deeper, since it was a while when I created this game from a tutorial, and now to better understand why the specific nodes are used, like for mob rigid body, what it does actually. I've checked in the documentation and played with its properties, changed its physics, made them fall. Actually, I've made them fall instead of float, fly through the scene. I added a gravity to them, tweaked the inertia to make them slow down. I reset that to default because it works like a side platformer. This is more like top-down game, so the gravity works from a top down, not on the top. gravity works like vertically observed game, like a platformer. So it's applied from top to bottom, towards downwards, from the top of the screen downwards. So it doesn't work for this type of game, which is top down. And also looking closer in the game, I noticed, since it was again, I say quite a while I looked at it, I looked at its animation and the implementation of what's implemented in the script for mobs. There is a variety added to the game by on the same scene, on the same mob, just by changing their animation frames, using the animation names in the animation sprite sheet. Sprite to the player, how does that look? Let's have a look at it. So here's the animation, and so animated sprite for this mob has a sprite frames. So in the properties here we can see, but actually in the sprite frames and animation, okay, it's in the sprite frames, animated sprite. So actually this doesn't use the animation per se or animation player. It uses animated sprite 2D, but it has, how would I call it, looking through the bottom panel, there are 3 animations created. Why am I not seeing it? Sprite frames, sprite frames, sprite frames, resource don't change. Now it's, anyway, this is a summary. I've been through it at the, I don't know, 2nd chapter, I think, in the stream. It is more intuitive when actually when experimenting with it, when working with it, then then it would be if I try to explain it. But animated sprite, here in the inspector panel, has its animation property. And there are sprite frames, field sprite frames. And I guess if I say new sprite frames, why does this close? I don't understand. Why did this close? Anyway, if I click, when I click on it, the sprite frames opens up here. And then there is a button here to add animation, and that would be, for example, fly, swim and walk. They are named, and their names can be used in the code. And I actually wanted to point that thing out, because here in the code we get the Mob types are actually defined only by their animation names, and this animated sprite through 2D has a so animated sprite 2D has 3 animation named animations, and we can actually reference or create in this case visually instantiate different type of mob by getting and showing and referencing them by their animation, referencing them by name. So in this instance there are 3 animations here created, and I can change it. If I click here like I've done a few times now, it closed this, but here is the actual animation here. I can change it. Can I click play? There is the looping animation, autoplay on load. Frame 010101, I guess it's playing. I don't... Oh, okay. If I switch to the scene, I guess we'll see it. Yeah, there it is. We can't see it if you're looking at the code. Okay, I can see that this property frame is animated, so you're just flipping between 2 frames for each animation. Altogether 6 sprites. Creating 3 animations that define 3 different types of mobs. That was interesting because it's all packed in one scene and in the single animated sprite node. So I actually went to analyze the implementation to learn more about these few actually crucial bits and specialized nodes. What are their internals, like also the rigid body, what are its properties, like for example the physics properties and processing applied to it, not just like the simple area 2D like we have for example for player. Does it have a gravity? Area 2D, it kind of has some gravity, but I don't think it's actually different node, different members properties are available for it. And then in the main scene it was also, like I mentioned, interesting to figure out how come that the mobs spawn around, actually what moves them, what moves their spawning, what's animating their spawning, the point of from there where they're spawning from. So added as a child node a node to this spawn location, which is a follow to path, and found out in the script that actually in the main we have a reference to, not reference, but there is a, in on timer, so timer triggers to spawn the mobs. And spawn location is actually changed each time the timer triggers. So each time timer triggers, the mob spawn location gets another random value between 0.0 and 1.0, which actually, where 1 represents the whole path. It's a ratio between progress along the path. So 0 is let's say first point. It's a path created with 4 points. First point being here, and then second this corner, so it's just a right-angled polygon, but regular. And well, anyway, it's closed. It is a closed path, starting at this point and ending at that point, and the whole full round around is actually 1. But all actual coordinates and location along the path is calculated internally, and here we have a solution how to get those placement, position and coordinates by actually just taking into account a ratio along the path somewhere where it's halfway, probably would be here. But with randomizing it on timer, we just get another random point, actually random ratio of path completion to spawn at that point, like we see in the game. So for each mob that appears, new random ratio of path completion is received, and it's internally calculated value that actually it is possible to apply to position. In what manner? Let's say choose a random location. Okay, here it is, location, but mob rotation, direction, position. Okay, here we get the mob position, mob spawn location, position, and progress ratio. So since the mob spawn location is the path to the follow, progress ratio, we got that, and calling a member or a method position on the path to the follow, we get position wherever it is, depending on the ratio, but it takes into account its parent, which is path to the structure construct. While in this tutorial, it was interesting to see how the solution for animating the movement along the path is animated using the animation player, and the path ratio, progress ratio is animated by animation player, like a keyframed. Oh, what else? What was else interesting here? Can I see maybe if I have a look at the at this thing? Well, actually, I changed the texture, aligned the texture with the new gameplay area, which is texture rect and color rect. I figured out how to get the image applied as a texture to the game, like background. How to make it fit proportionally, and where this color rect should be placed, because if I put it on top, if it's not behind, it will not show up. It will be if it's the opposite logic than we see in the tree structure. So rendering is going from below to the top, bottom to top. So it can be a child of texture rectangle or stand next in line, but actually before the texture rectangle. So there are a few details to play with here. Can I pull it out by any chance below this thing? Yeah, out of the child position like that. It was good to revisit this tutorial, because it actually brings in many methods that on day, I don't know, day 5, when day 4, 6, so it's 14 days ago, I just took it for granted. Oh, here is the tutorial, I just follow it and have my hand guided without any clues. Why is that so? Why do we use that? And now I've also taken a look along in the official documentation, the references, and read the members and methods, properties and methods, to actually understand better why is this the case. There is also the interesting node here, which is the marker 2D to use for player start position and so on. It took me some time, like an hour and a half, to get started, warm up, to be playful. I also used the simple print command just to get the output in the debugger, so I can track some values like animation names, aka mob types, and also to read the progress ratio of mobs as they get instantiated. I could make this by talking further. I could make this summary less a summary, more the elaborate. So hey, great to have you here. I like doing this. I was a little bit I was thinking, should I go with the Blender today, but I didn't see it would be again like more experimenting than actually maybe doing something efficiently, because I don't have anything in mind what I would do with Blender. So I went with Godot right after the Arts Day 6. But for Blender, I have an idea. What would be interesting to do? I might do some there is some basic image overall processing I could do using Blender. You can't edit per se like in drawing illustration image pixels, but blending I would like to migrate some of my image processing for blending in Blender. And also video editing, but hey, this is Godot video episode, not the Blender. But so I give advantage to Godot because the product is something more interactive, not static, not linear like a video exported from Blender. And for what I have now to do in Godot, it doesn't require any elaborate models. 3D, I'll stick around with simple stuff in 2D. I'll find more challenges to exercise, more be playful with Godot. There are quite a few things that can be done with it that are actually almost mirrored from Blender, but interactively, programmatically. Yeah, Blender can also do programmatic image processing paired with Python. But there is so much to this Godot thing. There's so much. I'll leave aside most of the templates and the put on a back burner templates and the extensions. I'll just use the sound effects SF XR to use it for exercises, for projects, simple projects, to apply the sound effects straight from the engine, generate and apply, create a resource for a audio player. So I want to actually get a good habit, good practice to, for example, for characters in game, combine the sound and simple sound, simple animation, just to learn how to manage them efficiently, those different parts that create actually one animated character. Bring it to life. It's the simplest, well, the basic, how basic parts need to, what's their intricacy and how to control it actually with the, well, there are two approaches in Godot. One thing is the out-of-the-box solutions like physics and physics interactions, the bodies, and the logics or game idea, game scenery, game screenplay implementation with scripting. And there is quite a lot of that can be used right out of the box in Godot. It just takes time to test them out. The rigid body physics is very interesting. I'm curious how can it be applied to a top-down game, because I'm curious about, for sake of simplicity, at this stage with my skill, I think top-down is a good approach for learning. Thank you for checking out day 22 in Godot, here from coming out from the Studio Lab at Doga. And And did I forget something? Well, I'll get when I trim this summary from the rest of the stream in a standalone episode, I'll have a link to the article with the resources for this section, if there's something. Well, I keep that way, always try to keep references, because it's good to have a summary in the content, condensed content references, especially when I see now, when I look through the actually useful tutorial 24-parter implementation of a game. It was good to read just the breakdown in simple terms, what the intent was, what to implement. Oh, of course, and a big subject, actually important subject. It was not too big, it is 2 paragraphs in the article about the keyword tool in the script, which is a monkey tool keyword that actually allows code to be executed in runtime for the developed application in Godot, and also it is a directive that allows the editor to run the code from the script. Something along those lines. I didn't read in details, I just stumbled upon it. The code to implement during design time in the editor to switch the assets for, I don't know, texture for in the same scene, apply different textures, those types of things. The elusive plasticity of the editor and the Godot engine. Malawi Eddy, your host, who loves you the most, signing out. Check out my artwork and digital collectibles on my website. Why? Because I said so.